So today we're going to be installing the new ZeroBrush 1.5 add-on, which has features like instant cycles painting, instant baking, instant normal mapping, etc. So I'm in this default Blender scene here. If I minimize my window, you see I have two files. I have the ZeroBrush add-on and the Seamless Elemental sample brush pack, which you can get for free at blendersensei.com. So first thing we want to do is right-click this ZeroBrush zip file and go ahead and unzip it, and then so we have our zerobrush.py file right there. Then we can head back into Blender, and then we can go to File, User Preferences, and then up here at the top with these little tabs we click on Add-ons, and we want to install from File. Click this, and then we want to navigate to where we have that ZeroBrush file. So mine's just on my desktop. I'll click there, but yours might be in your documents, or you may need to navigate to your computer, to wherever your download file is, or wherever you have it. The file we want is the .py, and so we'll select that, the ZeroBrush.py, and click Install from File. And when we do, we'll now see the Sensei Format ZeroBrush up top here, or you should anyway. If not, you may need to search ZeroBrush here in this little bar. So we'll just click that, which turns it on. And then we want to click Interface, because when we save our user settings, we want to leave it as close to the way as we found it. So we'll click on that and click Save User Settings and click this out. If we now press in, we should see our ZeroBrush main little brush menu down here. Now that's not really the most efficient place for this menu to be, so let's go ahead and close up all of these tabs and move this to the top. With our cube selected, we want to go ahead and click on the texture paint button. And of course, immediately we can just start painting here on our cube, which is good. But you'll see over to the left here, by default, we won't see the ZeroBrush brush menu. This is Blender's default. So if you want to keep Blender's default, don't touch anything right now. But it does make it difficult to get to brush loading and all the ZeroBrush features. So we could click on the Sensei tab, and then we would want to go ahead and drag this panel out to where at least as far to where we can see the whole words brush and brushes, so this isn't so squished together. Also, if you have not used Blender's new color palettes, you're going to want to click this Expand Brush Options button and click where it says New here, and this will create us a new color palette. And so we'll click that button to hide all that stuff. And I think it's a good idea to have at least black and white available in your color palette at all times. So let's bring this down all the way to black and press the plus sign, and bring this all the way up to white and press the plus sign. So we've got at least a black and a white colors. And then you would just want to go ahead and set this color to whatever you want your default brush color to be. It could be anything, could be white, could be black, whatever. I usually like to leave it as some kind of orange just because I'm a Blender fanboy. Okay, so we've got that all set up. That's good. So let's click on where it says brush. And what we want to do now is make sure we have our location to get to our brushes really quickly and displayed really nicely for all the times in the future when we're going to be using Blender. So I heavily encourage having a central location or a folder on your computer where you keep all of your Blender assets. I think it's a really good idea to keep all your Blender related things in a centralized area. So if you have a place like that where you keep your textures and files and stuff, what you would want to do is navigate to that location, like say it were in your documents or through your hard drive or wherever. Well, you would actually want to navigate to that place on your computer and then put this Seamless Elemental sample pack or the full brush pack, whatever you got, in that location and unzip it. But if you don't have a place like that by default, I can show you how to set one up really quickly. So if you're on a Windows machine, usually your hard drive, your default hard drive is just called C. So we're on the C hard drive there. So we could actually create a new folder by clicking this Create New Directory button and rename it Blender Library. Is fine, or whatever you want. And click in there, and then maybe we'll create another folder and just call this brushes. So now we've created these directories. So let's get this brush pack into that directory. What you're going to want to do is find the My Computer or whatever the icon is on your machine that gets you to where your hard drives are. Mine's actually docked to my taskbar here. So basically you just want to get to here. However you get there, great. So I'm going to click on my C hard drive, and then here's the Blender library folder we created in Blender and brushes, and I'm going to just drag this seamless elemental sample pack here, right click, JZip, extract here, and so I've got the pack there with my brushes where I may have future different packs of brushes or whatever, and then we can just go ahead and delete that because we don't need it, and close that out. Then back in Blender, let's see, Blender library brushes. So when we click on the pack here, now we're where our brushes are. So it's nice to be able to see these actual brushes we're picking from, so we can click this icon here, which allows us to see a thumbnail view of all our brushes, which is great. So from here we don't actually need to select one. We can press cancel, and now Blender will remember where we like our brushes to be. So when we click brush, it'll go directly to this location. So I'll click cancel. And so we're pretty set up good now. All we want to do is click on our object mode button and go ahead and press X and delete this cube here. And if you want there to be a default cube in your scene, you would press Shift A and add a cube, and go ahead and change this viewport shading back to solid or whatever you like to keep it on. And then finally, the last thing we need to do is switch this from 3D view to UV image editor. And one texture image was created when we clicked on that cube, but we don't want our startup file having this big texture image inside of it, so we'll click it. And then in Blender, if you hold Shift and click on the X of a thing, that tells Blender to get rid of it for good. Don't hold on to that in my file. So we can click here, switch this back to 3D view, go to File, and save startup file. Yes, confirm. Then we can close Blender out. Do you really want to quit? Sure. And then the next time we open it, and then click on our texture paint button to start painting whatever random thing, we have all our settings set up really nice. When we click on brush, we'll be straight where our brush pack is, and we're good to go. So that may have seemed just a little cumbersome. I hope you bore with me and got all the way to the end, because the way it works is you do all the stuff you need to do once really well, so you don't have to keep doing it over and over, and then you save a lot of time. You become really efficient and really good at what you do. I hope you stuck with that and followed that whole procedure, because now you can follow the tutorials along perfectly, whether you use Sensei Format or not, for the zero brush painting tutorials, and you're good to go. Thanks for watching.